Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast. My name is Michael Crosa with Chattanooga Podcast Studios, and I'm here with Elaine Zambos.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Director of BNI Southeast Tennessee. And we are continuing our series on the leadership positions within the BNI chapter. I'm really excited because I think this is going to be a really useful tool for people to use, hopefully years to come, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So our previous episodes, we talked about the quality assurance specialist. We talked about the member engagement specialist. And this week, we're talking about
the community building specialist.
The community building specialist. This episode of the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast is sponsored by Heather Hendrickson, owner of the Hendrickson Agency, an insurance agency properly protecting your most precious possessions. Heather believes in people over policies, so a good referral for Heather would be somebody who wants the personal touch and care that only her office can provide. You can find the Hendrickson Agency on Facebook, Instagram, or their website and phone number are in the show notes below. All right, Elaine, so continuing our conversation about leadership roles with the community building specialist.
So if we think about the membership committee, it's like the HR department of a company, right? All companies, major size companies have HR departments.
Right.
But you're saying, wait a minute, we're a BNI chapter. We're not. But no, if you look at your BNI chapter in the terms of a company, right? President, CEO, Vice President, COO, Secretary, Treasurer, CFO, membership committee is the Human Resources Department. And within that Human Resources Department, each person has its own specialty, right? And so in a company, you might have somebody who is doing payroll. You might have somebody else who takes care of all the health benefits, right?
Sure.
And then somebody else is taking care of, the interviews and all of that, right? And so it's the same way. So with us, the one we're talking about today is the community building specialist. And what this person does is they're basically the one who is building up the chapter. So they're the one seeking out what are those top 10 businesses that we want in our chapter. Right. And so it isn't just that person coming up with that top 10 list. It's looking at the chapter to help make sure it's a well-balanced chapter. So like, for instance, in our chapter, we only have one person in health and wellness. We really need other people in health and wellness so that we can guarantee that Laura's more successful.
Yes.
Right? Because we have a really strong, financial piece.
Right.
Super strong financial.
Yeah.
And we have a strong real estate piece, because we got mortgage and we got insurance and we've got, the home inspector and all of the things, but we don't have a strong. And so that's really what the community building specialist is doing, is looking at each of those each of the people, and then looking at who can we bring in to help make that person more successful. For instance, for you as the podcaster in our chapter, we need somebody who does, advertising.
Yeah.
We need that person in our chapter, whether it's promotional products or billboards or television or whatever.
Yeah. Marketing companies are a great
absolutely.
referral to me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Website developer.
Yeah.
Like that.
I'm actually really excited that we just got a photographer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that the community building specialist does. To me, that's the fun part of their job.
Yeah.
With every fun part, there's a piece that's probably not so much fun.
Of course, yeah.
Right. And the other piece of that is the community building specialist also is the one who educates the members on the importance of attendance. Because attendance is one of our policies, right?
Yeah.
And the policy is that a BNI member is allowed 3 absences during a rolling 6-month period. They can have a substitute, and that will count as an absence, right? And so this person in our chapter is the one who's kind of keeping up with that, right? And so when you're looking at the chapter roster report, for instance, when you pull up a chapter roster, it will show you a snapshot of the last 90 days. And it will show attendance in the last 90 days. So there's always really quick, easy places for them to go to get this information. And then they would be the one that when that person has made they've had their 3 absences, right? They need to say, hey, raise their hand and say, we need to have a conversation. You've got to your point, So make sure you've got your substitutes lined up.
Yeah.
And then doing and educating that member on the importance of a substitute program. And I love your idea of doing a meeting geared on just bring your sub day.
Yeah.
Like everyone bring their substitute that day, because life is going to happen and we're all going to need that person, right? Mm-hmm. And, you want to bring that person who's going to represent you. So that's the other piece of that role of the community building specialist. Now, this person does not automatically send that letter that says, hey, we're going to open your classification because you've missed 4 meetings. Like, now that becomes a group discussion, right?
Sure.
Like
sure.
Think again, human resources isn't just going to fire somebody without going to the president or the vice president of the company.
Right.
Right.
Right. There's stuff you got to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the role of the community building specialist, is if you can remember 2 things, the top 10 list and attendance.
Yeah.
Those are the top 2 things.
That's cool. I think when in the part of the meeting where we talk about those, where the community building specialist talks about what we're looking for, I think of that as the chapter giving its ask.
Right.
Right?
It is.
Yeah. It's like the chapter's 60-second ask for that week.
Right.
Yeah.
And thank you for mentioning that, because this person does have a speaking role during the meeting. Like, this is the person who gives the membership committee a report, because they are making that announcement of the top 10.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but you're right. That is the chapter ask.
Yeah.
Love it. Cool. Love it.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to continue. We're almost done with our membership committee section.
Yeah.
What's the next one that we've got coming up?
So I always want to make sure I say it correctly. It's the member relations specialist.
Okay. Member relations specialist.
In the past, it was called conflict resolution. And for some reason, I still want to call it that, but it's not. And it's been the member relations specialist for probably 5 or 6 years. But yeah.
Yeah. This podcast is produced by Chattanooga Podcast Studios, helping businesses and organizations make a deeper connection with their audience through the art of podcasting. An ideal referral for me would be a professional organization with a state or national presence. You can get in touch with me, Michael Crosa, by going to chatpod.com. That's chat with 2 T's, like Chattanooga, which is linked in the show notes below. So our past episodes, we've talked about the quality assurance specialist and we've talked about the member engagement specialist. So stick with us next week as we finish out talking about the membership committee with the member relations specialist.
Yes.
Yes. I did it. Thank you so much for listening to the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast. My name is Michael Crosa. This is Elaine Zambos. We're recording here at Wavelength Space in beautiful downtown Chattanooga, and our set was made by Mad Honey Rentals. If you enjoy this podcast, and I hope you do, tell your chapter. Send it out. Send it over the group text. I know you've got one. Elaine, I'm a new dad.
Yay. This is my favorite part of the podcast.
Yeah. This is the part that people come up and tell me about too. This is how I know they're listening. Like, they're dad jokes. You got one for me?
I do.
Okay, what do you got?
So what did the horse say when he tripped?
I don't know.
Help, I've fallen and I can't giddy up.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.